Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's the finals of the IPL Mapmaker Tournament, and there we go. HD's in frame now.
Why is it so dark?
Oh, the lights are just warming up a little bit, so it'll get better as we go along. But hello and welcome, everyone. It's Wednesday, November 23rd, and it is a pleasure to be bringing you guys these games. We've got a lot of great players that are left in the tournament, duking it out for that $1,000 prize pool. And let's go ahead and take a look at the brackets and see who we have left and how they actually got to this point. So we did one semifinal yesterday where we had Xenix Young versus Gosu Gatard, and Gatard is doing so well. He's in the finals. Now, this is a guy who uses a lot of quick timing attacks and stuff like that, but certainly knows how to macro out of a bad situation if some sort of a stalemate is actually forced. On the flip side, the other semifinal that we're going to do today is TSL Alive versus our mystery player, Saladin. So, of course, we have TSL Alive, GSL Code S player, Gosu, Terran player from Korea, just amazing, amazing guy. And let's see actually who he had to go through to get to where he's at. We have the brackets up here on the other screen. He beat Violet in the round before this. Then he beat his teammate Hart, another great Korean player. And before that, it looks like he beat a couple people that I'm not familiar with. But so he did have to go through a couple of other GSL top caliber players to get to where he's at.
Yeah, I don't think enough people realize that this tournament actually has a lot of good players. It seems like any open tournament we run now, it doesn't really matter because there's going to be Code S players qualifying and trying to play anyways.
How ridiculous is that?
We could put on a little bit of a, free cookie tournament. The winner gets 10 free chocolate chip cookies, and we'd get a bunch of Code S players signing up to play.
I actually had the potential to farm a ton of karma off of r/StarCraft, and I actually passed it up. Okay, if you guys watched MLG last weekend, there was Julia played. She spelled her name backwards, but her name was Julia. She was the first female player to appear on the main stage at MLG. And so, of course, like most people, went back and looked at her Liquipedia, and on her tournament results, she finished second place in the recent girl-only tournament that was for $10,000. She won $3,000 off of that or something, which is very impressive. But her fourth tournament, I believe, it said her winnings were 2 pounds of chocolate. That was what she won. And I was like, you know what? I should put that up on Reddit. But I was like, nah, I'm not going to worry about it. Not going to try and farm karma off it or anything like that. And then the next day, it was posted up on Reddit. Had 550 upvotes as the title was, "This is what girl gamers play for." So, it's awful.
You heard it from Kevin first.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So TSL Live took that path. Now, Saladin. What can we say about Saladin? Saladin is a guy, we have no idea who he is. We know that he's a U.S., not just North American, but a U.S. Protoss player. It's been confirmed that much from Playhim, but they don't know who he is beyond that. Now, if I asked you quickly to name your top 10 U.S. Protoss players, you'd probably have to pause and actually struggle to name 10 U.S. Protoss players. And that's nothing against the U.S. players, that's just... There's not a whole lot of U.S. standouts in Protoss.
Yeah.
There's a few of them, but not a whole lot. So I jokingly said that it was Day 9. Day 9 tweeted back at me and said it couldn't be him because he hates salad. If it was Green Beanadin, it was definitely him. But so we still have a mystery player on our hands, and he's actually gone through, not sure who this Love Tomomo guy was, but he played a couple of good people, actually knocking out DDE. But Saladin beat Complexity MVP Tails.
Honestly, I just want to know what his favorite dressing is. Is it Caesar's? Balsamic?
Caesaridin.
Caesaridin?
Caesaridin.
Caesar. Yeah, I know. Saladin is actually really, really good, man. He's been tearing it up through our tournament, and he's made it thus far, so far to the round of 8. We're going to be playing against, we're actually going to be broadcasting his game against TSL Alive.
It's a round of 4, yeah.
Oh, round of 4.
Yeah, the other semifinal. Yeah, no problem.
So this is the semifinals of the Mapmaker tournament, and he's been tearing it up. I remember watching his game against Complexity MVP Tails. That was just one of the most epic Protoss versus Protosses I've seen in a while on, what was the map? Sandstorm Mists?
Yes.
It was one of the craziest base races, and one thing about Saladin that really impresses me is his ability to think on the feet. I think he's really reactive, and not only that, he's very, as Pain User would put it, cerebral. He's a very thinking player.
Sure.
And he's able to kind of, even though he may not have the same macro, say, as MVP Tails, he's still able to outthink him and outplay him, and that's what was really impressive to me.
Cool. So he's definitely a guy we've got to look out for. Hopefully he pops up in a couple more tournaments and we can finally reveal his identity.
Yeah.
But, excuse me, I guess he's going to go against TSL Alive. We're going to go ahead and play. Our first map is actually going to be Alistar Deluge, and I'm ready to jump right into things.
Well, let's go ahead and do it, man.
Okay, let's get rid of this brackets here and get things started. Okay, so over here at the top left-hand corner of Alistar Deluge, we have Saladin. Saladin is our blue Protoss player. His opponent down at the bottom right-hand corner, throwing out the GG, is none other than amazing Korean Terran player TSL Alive.
Apparently, we're starting this game off backwards today. Both players giving the GG before the game starts. That's something that Koreans will do sometimes. They'll just be like GG, HF, or GG, GL, something like that. They kind of mix it up from time to time.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need to just say GL, HF like we usually do.
Although every time I see GG, GL, you know, I just assume they're going, good luck! So, like crazy announcer voice, but...
Yeah, a little extra emphasis on the good luck. Because you're going to need it. So we'll see what happens here. It looks like DSL Live is going to go ahead and throw the supply depot up. And, you know, this is a map that I haven't actually had too much experience casting on yet. Definitely haven't played on it quite yet. So I'll go ahead and let you explain it.
Sure. Okay, we have been explaining. I'll do the abbreviated version because we've explained the maps a couple of times over the past few casts. But basically... Made to natural, pretty easy to take. The key features are this is inside of your natural. It's separated by these bushes that you can't see around the other side of. You can actually plant siege tanks up there and protect your third if you decide to go the destructible rock route, or you can use it to just hide units and go ahead and protect any units that run into the natural. The other key feature is just one Xel'Naga tower in the middle. And you have golds that are pretty hard to take and actually hold on to, very, very exposed. So it plays out like a little more conventional map, with the exception of this spot right here at the natural and just the single Xel'Naga tower.
I think this definitely has two things that go... Well, one thing that's really helpful towards securing the third, obviously, is you have that high ground, so you can kind of protect the third, especially if you're Terran. But it also kind of hurts a little bit because it seems like the run distance between the two thirds, at least in the open field, it's not too big. So it does seem like, you know, from third to third, it would be pretty easy for both players to kind of get at each other. And, you know, it looks like it's a 1-versus-1 player map. So certainly it has the potential to be not only a short game, but also a long one.
And here's one thing I've actually noticed out of TSL Alive.
No, he missed his opportunity to kill that probe.
Yep, and the probe is going to sneak out of there. But here's one thing I've noticed about TSL Alive. Wait. Okay, I was about to say, I thought I saw the shadow of that. TSL Alive has been utilizing these new maps better than anyone I've seen yet. A lot of people are just falling back on very nice, conventional builds. Good old standbys, things like that. Yep, bye-bye SCV. But a lot of people have just been falling back on conventional builds because they don't know the new maps and don't have prepared strategies yet. TSL Alive has really been making the most of the interesting terrain changes and things like that. As you can see, he's burying a second barracks now behind those bushes where it's not going to be shown. And if a probe gets back up here and sees this reactored barracks, he's going to think that that's all the production that Alive has at the moment.
Well, you know, I think some players are just really well geared towards dealing with new terrains, new maps, and adaptability is one of their prominent positive features when it comes to StarCraft 2. And I think Alive is one of those players that adapts very quickly, no matter the terrain. He's able to kind of change his game plan up and really exploit the map to his advantages. And having said that, some players are also more geared towards just repetitive practice, really practicing a map all the way through, learning builds from other people, and then perfecting it. So, you know, I think, you know, obviously the Mapmaker Tournament is going to favor some players rather than others, and really is going to put a keynote on creativity here, and that's what Alive is doing very well.
And, yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. I mean, he has a concussive shell push coming out now with the first couple of Marauders queued up. And it looks like he's going to rally those to the front and start establishing his presence on the map. This poor probe. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to immediately go down because there is a Stalker there now that can chase down these unupgraded Marines. Nice job by Alive to just go ahead and do a little extra damage and force that away so we can actually bring a Marauder back up to the front. It doesn't look like...
though.
Yeah, it looks like Alive didn't want to show his hand with the Marauders right away.
That's very smart.
But he doesn't really have a choice anymore because that otherwise that Stalker will pick apart a few unupgraded Marines.
Well, I actually like what happened here because you guys can see that Saladin went ahead and threw up a Nexus because he just threw it up. He didn't see the Marauder, and that's why he threw up the Nexus. But if he had seen that Marauder, I would have imagined maybe he would have changed up his strategy a little bit because that's a lot of Marines and Marauders coming towards his front base right now, and it's a little questionable now. Will he be able to hold the front door? Now, granted, he does have an Immortal coming on the way right now, and that Immortal is going to be very, very helpful, but I still feel like he doesn't have enough ground forces to deal with the Marines, and this 2-barracks push here is doing a lot of damage. That Nexus is taking fire,
it's going to get canceled.
It's probably going to get canceled again, and this is really just a credit really to Alive pulling his Marauders away, not revealing his hand, and then coming in when the Nexus is already going up.
Yep, it's already taken too much damage, really.
Beat it.
Oh, wow, a sentry goes down.
Oh, wow.
That's no good at this point. Alive would much rather lose the Zealot or take a few units down with his Immortal than have those sentries, which are accumulating energy and getting more powerful, picked off. So, Alive has forced his opponent to one base here for a good period of time. Looks like Saladin moving into 3-gate Robo off of one base. He does have enough money for another expansion at the moment, but there's no way he's going to be able to make it down that ramp with that many forces sitting outside.
Yeah, and the problem there with losing a sentry, too, is now he's got to be a little bit extra concerned about the possibility of that Terran army running up his ramp, and he could lose the Observer. Very close call right there. Every single unit here is going to be so important and so key to not lose. But as I was saying, losing that sentry, he doesn't have as much force fields, and he's really buried inside of one base right now, whereas Alive is freely roaming the map, freely taking an expansion. Alive is just really, at this point, leagues ahead of Saladin in terms of build order and in terms of economy.
And we have +1 air weapons coming out of Saladin at the moment, so he's going to make a tech transition here in a bit, although, of course, he hasn't thrown up that Stargate quite yet.
He gets the upgrade before the Stargate. That's very, very confusing. Usually, Protoss players will, usually most players, if they're going to get an upgrade, they're going to get the unit out first because it just doesn't make any sense. The unit's so much more helpful than the upgrade is, so this is very confusing to me. But he's making a push out right now with a considerable amount of army units, but the pylon gets picked off. He will not have any reinforcements, and I think this is a terrible position for Saladin to be in.
I definitely agree. The force field wasn't the best there, but then again, he couldn't expend any. That's the one that he wanted.
That was great.
But Alive is going to run away with a good portion of those units. And will he have enough to just stand in here and engage with the rest? He could pick off an Immortal. No. Decides to retreat back to the south as he produces some more units.
Now, one thing I remember seeing in this Mapmaker tournament, and I don't know if it was Saladin or not, but I know there's a Protoss player that was just using Immortal so well. He destroyed a Zerg player with 6 Immortals. It didn't matter how many Cracklings were out on the field, didn't matter how many Roaches and Hydras, those Immortals were destroying fools. And with Immortals at 6 range, they are so strong. Now, he loses 1, he couldn't micro that away, but the Immortal now, I've noticed, is an extremely powerful Protoss unit, and Saladin is making them, putting them to good use, so to say.
And Saladin going ahead and securing his expansion behind that aggression in the middle. I've got to say, he's done a good job at whittling away Alive's forces. Alive doesn't have too much left. That's just its standing army, and Saladin has been able to catch up in supply pretty effectively. He's behind in economy. He's still behind in army a little bit, but he's done a decent job. And then he gets a really bad engagement, and this could actually completely turn around what I was saying. And if these Zealots, actually a complete 180 from what I just said, and now Saladin has lost his clawing back into this game.
Do you think he forgot to get Warp Gate? Do you think he clicked the wrong upgrade? No, he got Warp Gate.
He has Warp Gates. He just doesn't have a Stargate. I see what you're getting at.
Well, I don't understand why he got the he must have misclicked it or something. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever to get that upgrade. And
did it actually finish, or did he cancel it?
It
finished. Okay.
I'm very confused as to why he would have gotten that. There's no logical reasoning that makes sense in my head. But Saladin is Saladin, and he did finish it, so we'll see if he puts it to use. It looks like he's going to have to get some force over there. He doesn't see the Marauders, and the Marauders do have an opening to maybe pick off a single pylon, but do note there is a force coming towards Saladin's natural at the same time, backed by a medevac, and Saladin could be in some serious trouble here. He's got to hold this off.
Yeah, he really does. Healing up as much as he can with just the one medevac. And there's quite a few forces here. Saladin's going to be forced back, but he hasn't cleaned up the Marauders that are inside of his main, and those could actually jump in and do some pretty considerable economic damage.
He needs to pull an Immortal back right now to defend against that. He's warping in 3 Zealots, but they get picked off by the pylon depowering the warp-in process. And now Saladin is in a lot of trouble. He's warping in another Zealot. It dies in the process of warping in. That will not be refunded. 100 minerals down the drain. And Saladin is in a lot of trouble right now. He has no power, powering a third of his warp gates and a robotics facility, so that's more immortals that will not come out. He's got to pick off this medevac. It's been an annoying bug in his side for this entire game.
It's going to get really close, but he's not quite going to get it. It just gets away.
Wow.
By the skin of its teeth. Let's see here. Factory floating out. Scouting factory is now scouting. Blink is being researched in addition to an immortal coming up, and Alive, he just finished up his third command center. He's got 3 more racks on the way, so his infrastructure is starting to look better and better, and he's just pressing ahead as that advantage just continues to soar, now up by 43 supply.
Yeah, and it all started, really, it was like a snowball effect. It all started with that 2 barracks play from Alive. Very creative use of the map. Decided to hide one of the barracks. He made a push. He destroyed a lot of the Protoss forces and kept him contained for a very long time on one base. And we can see that snowball starting to pile up into a huge ball right now. Now I think it could just be game. And yeah, there's the GG from Saladin.
GG is called. And so Alive does take game number 1 of this best of 3. And we're going to head into game number 2 in just a second. So thanks very much to everyone who's joining us. We're going to head to a quick commercial break. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Be sure to follow the IPL over at IGN.com/IPL. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube as at IGN Pro League. All right, guys, quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is HD, joined alongside by Cat's Pajamas, and look at that, the light is on now.
Oh, that's actually a little bit too high there. I'm pulling this out a little bit, but there we go! That's so much better.
Yep. What's going on, guys? And just wanted to say thank you all for tuning in today. We know that everybody's just kind of wrapping up MLG, which it was a glorious finals to the circuit for this year. Mm-hmm. We had Leenock actually taking it down. Yep. And played an incredible, run through the tournament all the way from the open bracket. In fact,
people he beat was just ridiculous. He actually beat 5 MLG champions to win the tournament, which is just absurd. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, man. I mean, the thing about StarCraft 2, I think, is that it's such a new sport that the established players, while they are established, we always hear about Idril, we always hear about Huck, MMA, Boxer, MVP, Nesty, blah, 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 blah. But it's still such an early sport that the possibility for people who may not have had previous, first place glory, it's still very possible for them to get to the upper tier and make their way through. And it was true even in Brood War, man. We never had like a dominant player for really more than a year or two. And it was always switching hands.
Yeah, and that's something that's going to happen here. I have to give credit to the Leenock hipsters I know, T-Gun, Doa, and Leah Jackson, though. They've been espousing the virtues of Leenock for quite a while, and he certainly showed what he could do in spades. So congratulations to him.
Yep.
And so that wraps up what happened over the weekend. Although I do want to give a big hand to Naniwa as well. I think he showed a lot of people what was what, taking down Nesty on 2 different occasions. Once to win the Invitational, the second time to get pretty far into the brackets at at the actual physical tournament itself. So Naniwas looked really good. I think
Don't forget
Artosis
he's
hit
the previous champion of MLG too.
right, but also that was the last foreigner only championship. So a lot of people kind of discredited that, said, oh, 91 won that, but it wasn't against Koreans and stuff like that.
You can't do that.
But he's shown that his time in Korea has really paid off. I think Artosis said it exceptionally well when he said it was like a person from the future. If you would have taken someone from Brood War in 2009 and pitted them against someone from Brood War from 2005, the person from 2009 would have just destroyed the person from 2005. Yeah. And that's what it looked like. Naniwa's sense of timing was so clean. He ended up losing to those to the all-ins out of Leenock, but Leenock played him perfectly. You just can't forward fast expand every game like Naniwa did and not expect that kind of pressure. So Leenock played it perfectly. Some people were saying that he cheesed. I don't agree with that at all. He just simply responded perfectly to what Naniwa was doing. So
yeah.
And guys, so thank you very much for tuning in for the Map Maker tournament. So we'll bring up this little slate here. This is what I accidentally clicked on a second ago. And basically what happened was we had a call to the community to send in their very best maps. We picked our 5 favorites, and we put them in this tournament that you're watching now. Of course, the finals were Alisar Deluge, Atlantis Spaceship, Darkness Falls, ESV Sandshorn Mist, and Zakul Das Rift. And we're going to go ahead and pick our 2 favorites when the tournament is over. And we're actually going to put those into tournament play. So I'm ready for game number 2 between Saladin and TSL Alive.
Let's go ahead and do it, man.
All right, here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 between Saladin and TSL Alive from the semifinals of the Mapmaker tournament. It looks like we've got Atlantis Spaceship as the map here, and Saladin will be the Protoss at the top left-hand corner, or excuse me, the top. And down at the bottom, we've got TSL Alive.
And I love this map. I'm actually physically in love with it. I want it to marry me, and we need to run away and elope because this map is just fantastic on a lot of levels. We'll go ahead and, like I said, do the very quick version of this. This is a 2-player map where you spawn over at the 1 o'clock and the 8 o'clock positions. There's 2 Xel'Naga towers on the map protecting a very long walk path, so it'll lead to very macro games. But if you decide to take an even longer walk path, you can go around the south, the bottom right-hand corner, about the 430 position, and actually avoid detection altogether. There's space up at the top for some airplay, but it can be watched by just one Overlord or the control of the Xel'Naga tower over at the north. On top of that, your 4th base, if you decide to take that one, is normal 8 mineral patches and 2 original Vespian geysers, but there's also a rich Vespian geyser, a 3rd one, which I think could lead to some pretty cool builds. No gold expansions, just a rich Vespian geyser there.
Yeah, and just going off of the map a little bit, I know we have our disagreements as to our favorite map, and which we very well should. I actually prefer Sandshorn Mist. I think that's a great map. I've seen some pretty epic games on that one. But Atlantis Spaceship isn't bad. I agree with you. It's a nice map. Have we seen any players, though, use that rich Vespian geyser? Because I haven't seen anybody use it yet.
I'm not sure yet, no. Because I don't know if a lot of people are aware of its existence yet. It's not like we advertise the specific qualities of the map. But I think that's something that people will start to figure out. But
one day, one of the players will expand there in the really late game, and then they're just going to find that by exploration, and they're going to be like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest discovery ever!"
I can pull like 6 probes off of other castles and just put 3 here. My minerals go up, and I'm so happy. Yeah.
One of those SCVs will be forever named, or probe, or drone, whatever it is. Once it discovers it, it will be forever given the nickname the 49er.
Christopher Columbus.
No, the 49er, man. It just struck gold.
Amerigo Vespucci.
Vespucci as in Vespine?
No, Amerigo Vespucci. I said what United States or the Americas are named after. The explorer.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. My I'm sure
my American
I can
history
read chat, but
my American
my history degree coming back
is not on point.
So, there you go.
I will say my world history is a little bit better though.
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Okay, all right, I'll buy it.
There's the SCV stealing 5 minerals, so it's already started the fight off a little bit with some thievery and backhandedness.
Getting away with his little prize there.
It looks like he wants to give it back.
He's going to gloat. No, he's going to come in and just look at the or burying it over on the right-hand side.
That's interesting.
A nice little play. He has a lot of opportunities there.
Now,
it's a lot harder for a Terran to proxy structure, but this is going to be a nice delayed scout.
Well, I really like what Alive is doing here because, once again, we see how he's utilizing the map to his advantage. He realizes, hey, this is a new map for all of us. I'm going to exploit it by hiding an SCV shooting range? What's going on?
Did he just...
He just killed his own Marine.
What in God's name did we just watch? This is a Code S player. He just clicked his own Marine.
Yeah, he really did. What he did was patrol. I think he tried to patrol his Marines in front of his door, and he accidentally clicked his own Marine. So
okay,
that was terrible.
Wow.
But back to what I was saying, he is hiding the SCV at the top corner, which I don't think Saladin is really going to find because this map is so new to everyone. And yeah, he will get the delayed scout in very easily.
And Saladin decided to take the path around the Zelnaga Tower there so that the Stalker actually wouldn't be detected. A very smart play, and Alive is going to deal a little bit of shield damage. Possibility the Probe can make its way through.
No, it's going down.
Oh, it dies.
Yep.
But, yeah.
I can't believe he killed his own Marine, man. That was some serious fail right there. I don't think it qualifies for star crap, but it's pretty crappy to do that.
It was pretty interesting. It was pretty funny.
Maybe he just didn't like that Marine.
I guess that's the only fathomable reason I could think of.
That does not compute through my brain why you would kill your own initial Marine.
2-gate robo up for Saladin, and looks like Warp Gate Technology is actually going to finish up at about the 6.5 minute mark. So early, he expended 1 or 2 chrono boosts on that. And TSL Live, on the other hand, pretty predictable. 3 racks after an early 1 rack FE.
He could have had an even number of Marines right here. He could have had a squad of 8, but no, he's diminished to 7 right now. It's terrible. So demoralizing.
It's probably going to knock him out of the game.
Probably. I mean, that's a costly mistake of epic proportions.
It was so funny to watch.
Yeah, well, Saladin here
trolling us for a second.
I don't know. Saladin here is actually going to go for what seems to be the same build actually the last game. He got the quick robotics facility. He did get the Nexus down. Last game he was forced to cancel it because of the 2 barracks play. This game he's going to get it off, and he has the robotics. So I would imagine this time around he's got a much better shot at actually playing a game out on even terms rather than the last one, which he just kind of, like I said before, was a snowball effect, and he found himself buried under the pile at the end of the day.
And there's a pretty decent army coming up now for Alive. It's starting to go into a little bit later medevacs. There's finally the factory.
Yep.
But he decided to get all those upgrades in place, make sure that he had a great bio-infrastructure to take any sort of early pressure. So what has he scouted out of his opponent? Okay, he saw the 2-gate robo right away, so he knew that there was the potential for a little bit of pressure to be put on. And he is actually not directly aware of the expansion quite yet. So I'm curious how the rest of this plays out.
Maybe he's just going off the assumption from the last game about the same exact build, and he's going to go ahead and safely assume that there is a Nexus coming up. Plus, it's a big map.
Yeah.
A lot of walk distance between the 2 players. So I think Alive here can safely assume that Saladin is going to go ahead and get that Nexus down, and we're going to have a 2-base versus 2-base affair, at least for now. Although there is a probe or something in the bottom of the natural.
It's just an
observer that almost went down. Oh, the
good
awareness
by Alive, at least.
Yeah, but that's like 270 minerals that just went down the drain because that comsat was essentially wasted, which could have been a mule.
Yes, certainly. And he's going to make his way out. His starport's only now coming up, so this is going to be an attack that's
awkward
timed
timing.
And it looks like Concussive Shell is going to about finish up by the time he makes his way over. But he's actually going to encounter the army in the middle.
Great pullback right there, though. Only losing a Marauder and a Marine through those 3 force fields, which I don't think is really worth it, because Saladin's really going to need all the force fields he can get if he's really trying to be aggressive right here at the front of the Terran base.
And he is going to start pushing his way, posturing out to the middle of the map. That Observer has come back for another go. We'll see if it gets picked up again this time. Alive does have 3 bunkers going down. And with those 3 bunkers, I think he'll be able to remain safe against this attack. Wow! Pre-pulling a lot of SCVs, though. Alive really doesn't want to die to this.
Yeah, I mean, this is just safety first, although his SCVs are a little bit in front of themselves. He's got to make sure that they're around the bunker and not all the way out in no man's land. It looks like the factory going to get a full scout off on the army composition, and it probably will not go down because he might stick an SCV to repair that. He's got some Marauders on the top here. I love this. He's actually doing a little bit of burst damage to those Immortals down below, but the Observer comes in, and it will scout the high ground.
One Immortal went down, though.
Yeah,
that's actually going to make his bunker busting possibilities quite a bit slimmer. So Saladin's continuing to reinforce with as many units as he's got. Taking a look.
Is this just all in from Saladin?
4-gate robo. 4-gate robo. No, 4-gate robo on 2-base. That's fine. He has cut worker production, though.
I almost feel like it is, because he's just warping and everything.
Wow, he's way
not
down in workers.
Yeah, he's not producing workers. I feel like it's just an all-in.
And
he's going
in.
Why did he cancel the bunkers? That was terrible decision-making from Alive, and now the Force Field's going to cut his army in half. The Marines and the Marauders in the front taking some serious damage. Yeah, the Zealots are out of position. I think, though, Saladin just came out of there with a lot of kills.
No, he came out pretty far ahead, but he has not done any economic damage quite yet, although he might, as here comes wave number 2 out of Alive.
Oh, that was terrible.
Force Field's cutting off a lot more things, but still, those Zealots just were not able to get in there and start tanking the damage, so relatively valuable units are actually going to get picked off here. And Saladin, he doesn't have a lot of sentries remaining. In fact, they all go down. That means these ranged units, without Guardian Shield to stop him, are actually going to start doing a ton of damage.
I think he is going to take a ton of damage here, but he killed a lot of SCVs, so the economy should be pretty even right now. If we pull up that income tab,
now you know
33.
Alive is still up in workers, and he's got double mules down, so he's still actually significantly farther ahead in economy, as you can see reflected there. And Saladin loses yet another Immortal, down to 39 supply. And Alive has that just sitting in units that are running up to the front. So I think that Alive is actually in a great place. And he's going to go ahead and counter push right now. There's only 2 sentries and 2 zealots up. That's it. That's the entire army.
Yeah, it looks like he didn't kill nearly as much SCVs as I thought he did. And Alive is going to pretty much have a bigger army. And really, that's a 30 supply differential, but most of it being reflected in those medevacs and marauders and marines. So right now, Alive is he's sitting pretty good. I think he can definitely make a push at the front here, do a lot of damage. He could just straight up take it 2-0 right now in this series, and I don't know what Saladin can do. He's desperately warping in units, and he was definitely doing an all-in. As you guys can see, he really didn't probe up at all. He's going for the all-out front door bust. It was not successful, and now his Nexus is totally left exposed and bared to the front of those Marauders and Marines, and we'll see if Alive goes ahead and takes it down.
Yeah, and it looks like Alive is with the vision, these medevacs as well. These are not all going to get sniped. Saladin already pulling a bunch of probes, and he's going to start to make his way down the ramp. He's already lost quite a few workers. There's the stim from Alive. He's got quite a few medevacs, so these units are going to get healed up very quickly. There's only a handful of units out here for Saladin. The last remaining force fields go down, but that's not going to be enough. All of these units are dying. Saladin GG's, and TSL Alive has advanced to the finals.
Wow, that was so one-sided. I thought Saladin would have probed up a little bit more. I mean, it was just a straight-up all-in off of only 3 warp gates and 4 warp gates and a robotics facility. He really didn't have, much probes at all.
Right.
And he killed off some SCVs, but it wasn't enough to really secure the victory.
So we're actually going to bounce to the 3rd place match now. It is, of course, going to be Saladin. As we just saw him compete, he's going to be going up against Zenex Young, another incredible Protoss player. So we're going to head to a quick commercial break, guys. Please don't go anywhere. If you do, head over to store.ign.com where you can pick up all your IPL branded goodies. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter as well. He's at HC StarCraft. I'm at Cat's Pajamas SC2. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Anyway, guys, we are back live for IPL TV. It is the finals of the IPL Mapmaker Tournament. We're heading to the 3rd place match.
Yep, it's time.
The reason we have a 3rd place match is, of course, that 1st place gets $600, 2nd place gets $300, 3rd place gets $100. So Zenex Young and Saladin are going to be duking it out for a crisp Benjamin.
It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'd do with a Benjamin?
What would you do?
I would probably go to McDonald's and buy a lot of chicken nuggets.
That's
get 20 for $5.
You are going right after a fat man's heart right there. So
I love
that's a lot of chicken nuggets.
I love me some Ronald McDonald nuggets.
Cater to party with those one time. So
what?
with nuggets. We went to a fast food restaurant. We went up and we said, yes, we'll have 500 nuggets, please. And the person on the other end just stopped. They did not know how to respond to us.
Should have asked for a discount, too.
Yeah. We're like, when can you have those by? They're like, 2 hours. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, $100 is a lot of money. These guys are obviously going to fight it out here. And it's the third-place consolation match between these two. Saladin obviously losing as we just broadcasted it. ZX Young also losing. And it's going to be a PvP here. And I also want to remind you guys, this is going to be a best of 5.
Yes, it is. This and the finals are both the best of 5, so a little bit longer matches. Have to win 3 games to take the set, and I am ready for this PvP.
Well, let's go ahead and do this.
All right, so here at the 1 o'clock position on Atlantis Spaceship, we have ZX Young. He is our blue Protoss player. His opponent at the 8 o'clock position, sporting the red trunks, that's Saladin. He's our red Protoss player, so here we have it.
Taking a page out of Total Biscuits.
Sporting the red trunks.
Yes.
Love Total Biscuit. Did a great job with the multiplayer I-44 tournament over the weekend.
Yeah, actually, I tuned into Justin TV on Sunday, and it was right there on the front page, and I was watching them for a little bit.
Yeah,
great job out there. And
I love the way he does like the boxing announcer introduction of players at the beginning of games. You know, that's like as he's walking them onto the
pounds.
He's walking them onto the stage. He's like the winner of IPL 3. Oh, that's something we actually need to do. I like that.
Well, he's a great guy. Hopefully we can bring him on board for IPL 4.
Would be awesome.
And would be really cool. We'll
John,
definitely get
much hearts. We love you.
We'll get our hands out there reaching to see if we can get that to happen.
Yep.
But here it is. It's the semifinals for the Mapmaker tournament. And, Saladin, great player. Obviously, he was a little bit outmatched in that last game, but I saw him play a very well-composed game against Complexity MVP Tails. So obviously, he is at least Code A caliber here.
Yeah.
Or can at least deal with players of that caliber.
I was about to say, TSL Live, there's only about 30 people in the world that could be considered like evenly matched against him. He is ridiculous. He's so good. And he really showed it in that last set as well. Now, Saladin fell early in game number 1, the one on Alisar Deluge, but I thought in game number 2, he had a pretty good opportunity to break through his opponent's army, and unfortunately just couldn't do it. I liked how he thought he was behind, so he cut workers to get out a bunch more units right away at the expense of long-term economy, but to try and kill his opponent straight up because Alive's macro is really good.
Well, if you think about it, Alive actually canceled 3 bunkers at his front natural. If he had kept those bunkers up, he probably would have never been broken down.
Right.
The fact that he held that off and won the game without having bunker support just shows how good of a player Alive really, really is.
Look at this cute harassment back and forth. Saladin steals Yong's gas. Yong steals Saladin's gas. Saladin's probe denied the cybernetics core for a little while from going down. This has just been cute back and forth micro here. Now, what I really think is fun is whenever people steal gas and then they walk up there with their probe and actually take 5 gas out of it. It's actually
a permanent steal of 4 gas.
Yeah, it's actually so cute. There he is! Yes, he's doing it!
That's pretty funny.
He's won his prize and he will be retreating and going home.
Well, I always say it, at least I'm going to say it now. Protoss players have the best harassing early game worker. The SCV of the drone just could never hope to compare to the power of the probe. Because, the probe has a natural means of regeneration that's quicker than a drone because of the shields, and it doesn't need to stay around while it builds something, so it can harass. It can put pylons, assimilators, it can... back in Brood War, you could manner pylon somebody's mineral line to prevent them from mining minerals. I don't think you can really do it anymore.
No,
but it's still a very good.
Still
a very good harassing unit.
Oh, definitely. How many times have we seen games where people... now, this has a very large space behind the mineral line, but on maps like Zelnaga, 2 pylons and then 2 cannons, and what can you do about it? You lose your main. So
yeah, we really, it was kind of pioneered. Not only can they build stuff, but they can also just harass the other probes or SCVs or workers with the probes, and that was really pioneered by Huck.
Yep.
He was the guy who just kind of went around with this probe, harassed you all day long, excellent probe micro, And I think, the early game, that's one thing to really look out for in Protoss versus Protoss.
And here we have a 4-gate coming out of Saladin. Back on Yong's side of things, it's just a 3-gate. So he's going to try and hold with just a 3-gate. This is actually something I've seen Inori do, Rain Inori, but it's extremely difficult to pull off. Xenix Young is going to need truly top control.
Yeah, he's going to need excellent control right here. The one advantage he gets by going 3-gate is a little bit more Harvesters. But of course, he's going to have a lot less units on the field, and it looks like Saladin's going to go ahead and warp in 2 pylons on the bottom of the ramp. And if he gets his Zealots up there, which he does, he's going to be able to warp in units on the top. He needs to keep that Zealot alive, though. He's going after the Sentry. He was not able to kill the Sentry off. And now with the force field on the ramp, he has to cancel his pylons. So Saladin, with an opportunity there to get up there, not only kill the Sentry, but also warp in additional units, that opportunity is now missed, and Xenix Young holds off with only 3 gateways, and that just shows the power of having a ramp in Protoss versus Protoss.
No, you're exactly right. How is Saladin so far behind in supply? He's backed by 6 workers. Now Young is going over to the 4-gate, but this is... I'm actually a little bit shocked at how Saladin is that far back in supply at the moment.
But one less gateway.
No, he had one additional gateway. He was on the 4-gate.
No, what I'm saying is, I mean...
I see what you're saying. I see what you're getting at.
Xenix Young had one less gateway, so that's 150 minerals that are more probes. Didn't have to invest into 2 proxy pylons that failed anyways. So he is ahead in a serious way right now.
He's going to Stargate, 4-gate Stargate.
Wow.
And Saladin is coming back into 4-gate with the Twilight Council.
Going Stargate.
Phoenixes are pretty darn good.
They are pretty good, but
yeah.
He's at an advantage right now, so that's a little surprising to me that he decided
It's a huge tech investment, yeah.
That's a huge tech investment.
That's throwing away your supply advantage. Of course, the benefit is, of course, that you can lift up key units and actually do a ton of damage. So
Right. But you'd imagine, he would just stick to the staple, go for either Twilight Council or go for a quick Colossus, but he's going for Stargate, so this is a big risk. It can definitely pay off depending on his micro. It looks like Saladin will pick off a Zealot in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And now the thing is, Saladin's going for a more traditional route of technology. He's going for Blink,
right,
despite himself being behind.
4-gate Blink Stalker.
Xenix Young is going for Stargate with Phoenix, so this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
All right, so we're going to have it here in just a second. Usually, you would see this in a little more aggressive capacity. Young is still playing the defender's role.
Well, he's hiding the Stargate.
Now,
totally.
Yes, and the thing is that I imagine he thought that he was going to take the aggressor's role, especially once he held that so well. But it's just not going to happen. So we're going to see if Saladin can actually break this, because Young is really set up pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, but he's going to have a lot less ground units. That's the only thing.
I agree.
That's why Young's holding on the top of the ramp. He knows his sentries are key here, but he's going down the ramp now. He has 3 Phoenix. It's going to come down to the Graviton beams. He picks up a Stalker, picks up a second Stalker, 2 Stalkers in the air. The 3rd Phoenix needs to use his Graviton beam as well, but for now he's just shooting the Stalkers that are disabled, and I don't think that Xenix Young is going to have enough forces here. I think Saladin's going to be able to push him all the way back, and that was a terrible engagement for Xenix Young.
Blink picking off a sentry as it trails back as well. That means Young is going to have to sacrifice attacking power to get more force fields on the high ground, unless this has enough energy. Okay, it has enough for a couple of force fields, but if Saladin is able to blink up, it's going to be very bad.
Yeah, and he can blink right past that force field. That force field does not mean a thing to him if he wants to go ahead and commit to that. But, even though Young was ahead after that 3-gate to 4-gate advantage, it's totally been thrown away now.
I agree with you. So here comes Saladin, blinking back his certain units. Yeah, he blinked like 3 units back.
Yeah, this is terrible for Xenix Young. Saladin's just coming out ahead. I guess the Stargate was the wrong decision there, or his micro is a little bit off. One of his Phoenixes were never using that Graviton beam. Now he has to engage once again on the ramp. He doesn't use a force field, though. It doesn't really matter because the Stalkers can, of course, blink. And it looks like Xenix Young will be able to hold for a little bit longer, but no, Saladin's going to run right up here once again. Yep. And he is going to go ahead and engage here. Now, he has got to retreat because this is too close to Xenix Young's Zealots. And I think Young will be able to hold the ramp for a little bit longer.
Oh, that was a cute way to blink. He actually blinked into fire. So it took away the targeting from the Zealots, but it still allowed him to do quite a bit of damage. So Saladin is punishing these Stalkers that are at the top. there's not enough Graviton Beam on these Phoenixes, so they are essentially dead weight.
Yeah.
But the Zealots are proving to be very effective, but it looks like Saladin's just going to barely have enough to be able to break down all these forces.
Maybe. He's got to warp it
So
more
close.
units.
It's so close.
I think he's going to lose the Phoenix now, and that's going to be terrible for him. He's got to use those Graviton Beams. There we go. No, he loses one of the Phoenixes that were weakened. This is such a close battle between these two guys, but it's just one Zealot left now, and there's the GG from Yang.
Wow, so a very back and forth game there. Saladin playing a fun, aggressive brand of PvP.
Well, it's just 4-gate.
Yeah, but no,
but then the Twilight Council.
Yeah. No, but I mean, still taking the offensive aggressor role, even after he was repelled initially up at the front of the wall. I thought that was just very, very fun.
I think the creativity marks definitely go to Zenix Yang for going for the Stargate, because Phoenixes are great, even in Protoss versus Protoss, but we don't see it that much. It's definitely the less underused strategy, the least traveled road in PvP. And Yang tried it out. It didn't really work out, but a couple of micro mistakes here or there, and I think if he had corrected that, then he probably would have come out ahead.
All right, so there you go, guys. That wraps up game number 1 of this best of 5 of the Constellation third place match. We're going to run to a quick commercial break, but when we get back, we're going to have game number 2, so don't go anywhere, folks. Back in just a second.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. This is HD, joined alongside by Cat's Pajamas, and we're going to be doing game number 2 between Saladin and Zenix Yang here.
Do not adjust your set. We are tinkering.
That's perfect. That is perfect. I was just letting Cats know to go ahead and turn up the lights a little bit up in here, because you'll look better with the lights on, better with the lights on.
Of course I do.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
That's not how the song goes.
Interesting game number 1. We've had a lot of PvP in this tournament. A lot of really good Protoss players, and Protoss players have been playing really well lately. So, we saw one of our semifinals, of course, between Zenix Yang and Gosu Gatard. Was a very compelling PvP. We also had the set of Saladin versus Tails that you were talking about as well. So, a lot of high-level PvP, and this is no exception. That last game came down to the wire, as in the last couple of units that were on the field. Had those Phoenixes had any more energy, had the Zealots just gotten a little bit better engaged, Yang might have been able to take that.
I think if he had used all 3 Phoenix's Graviton Beam at the same time, because he used 2 and he left 1 kind of shooting, I think it's probably better to just disable 3 Stalkers rather than have 1 Phoenix shooting the ones in the air. But he didn't. I think if he had used all 3 Graviton Beams, it might have been enough to hold off that front door. Yeah. That's my opinion. I mean, it was very, very close. It could have gone either way, but we are going to go ahead and go into game 2 now, so we'll have to see if Saladin got lucky, or if things are going to change up a little bit. Okay, well, let's go ahead and just take it right away. Okay, so down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Darkness Falls, we have Saladin. He is spawning as our... Oh, of course, they would change colors on me. He is our blue Protoss player, and his opponent in the top right-hand corner, wearing red, that's Zenix Yang. It's interesting you mentioned the colors, because I was casting some games for YouTube last night. I told you I went on like a big hour marathon of casting games, and then for whatever reason, some of the replays, the colors were mixed up. So if red was, say, select, blue was Idra, it would be blue, select, red, Idra, and it was very confusing. I just turned off all the colors immediately.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's been a couple of issues on the latest patch where player colors will actually get swapped around a little bit, and that actually can't be resolved with using the team color option down here at the bottom left. So, not sure what the issue is, but we'll just go ahead and roll with it.
How does that break, though? That's always interesting to me. How, like, I know there's coders that work behind the game and everything, and they patch it, but how do they go in and mess up the way the colors are oriented? Like, what code in terms of a patch messes that up? You know, that's a very interesting thing to think about.
Sure, we have Blizzard people at us just shaking their fists at us right now. You don't know, that's the bane of my existence.
Like, that's the most important thing of all, the colors.
This map is
very finicky.
Kind of weird for PvP, though. The reason we say that is because, boom, from the main to the natural, you actually have an even ground pathway. So
and it's huge, too.
It is pretty sizable.
I'm pretty sure it's a double force field to hold that off.
I think we're certainly going to find out this game.
Yeah.
It is a PvP on this map, so we're going to see how these players play it out. But if you recall Tal'Darim Altar, which is the other map that's really used in tournament play at the moment, that has that even ground path from the main to the natural, it's basically 4-gate or die. So
yeah,
we'll see if anything's different here.
It almost seems like this map for a Protoss player is Tal'Darim stress on steroids. They're probably going to be definitely staying on one base this entire game. I mean, all the other maps we've seen so far haven't seen any Protoss really grab an expansion and go to 2-base yet. So I would imagine both these guys are going to stick on one base. Given the big ramp and the flat ground, no defender's advantage, we're probably going to see that 4-gate is going to be the predominant build of choice here.
And Young, it was his choice of map, and he decided to go specifically with Darkness Falls. So we'll see if he gets very aggressive. Saladin pulling probes off the line to go after, his attacking probe. Manages to land the assimilator, gas steal as well. And there we go. Yong doing it right back to him.
Yeah, Yong actually almost mimicking Saladin's right now for whatever Saladin does. So they're going to both hinder themselves to one gas apiece, which further makes me feel like they're just going to go for 4-gate.
That's a good way to guarantee a 4-gate, is when both people steal each other's gas. So.
Well, last time, Xenix Young decided to go for 3-gate.
Ooh, did Young
but he did have a ramp.
His worker? Yes, he did. So
wow,
his worker inside of Saladin's base, and this map is a long walk distance. Even having this probe just sitting in the middle for Saladin is quite a few extra minerals gained, and quite a bit easier for him to be able to place down that forward pylon.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting a second and third gateway being added right now. Probably, like I said, that's again going to see a 4-gate from both players.
Saladin is 4-gating for sure.
Saladin is definitely.
And there's the 4th gate out of Yong.
Yeah, so Yong just a slight step behind right now because, his build is a little bit slower than Saladin. Of course, he'll also probe as well. We'll just have to see. The micro is definitely going to come into play because even though you're behind by one gateway or maybe behind a little bit in your build, it's such a big map that it's going to equalize a little bit.
And Saladin with double gas. We'll see if he's actually going to go for a little more defensive 4-gate. Although, putting a pylon there is very aggressive. Yeah. And that is certainly not going to be any sort of a defensive play. We do have a Stalker up here now for Saladin as well. Should allow him to retain that pylon and begin the warp-in process. And we have our first few units coming up. Yes, that 5-minute, 45-second 4-gate. Very, very quick out of Saladin. He's going to try to end this game right now.
Yeah, and all the battle's going to be occurring right here at the natural. There are no sentries being made here. Very important to note because the gas was pretty much taken up one apiece by both players. And like I said, I think that's a double force field choke point. So I don't even know if it's worth it to get sentries at this point. It's just going to come down all to stalkers, a couple of zealots to push away the enemy stalkers, and really it's going to come down to the micro, pulling away the weakened stalker to the back, keeping all your stalkers alive.
Where is this zealot heading to? It looks like it's going to go back home in case there's any sort of run-bys or anything like that.
Yeah, just playing a little defensively because he doesn't know if there's a pylon on his side of the field.
It's going to sacrifice a little bit of attacking power up here at the front, though.
Right, and there is a sentry being made by Xenix Young.
Look, he's actually making stuff back at home, so I guess he wants to play the contain game and go ahead and move back home in a bit, but he's got to watch out because with him not actually putting this many forces up here at the front, he could actually very quickly get neutralized.
Yeah, but he probably can pull away. He's not going to get caught by force fields or anything like that, given the big ramp.
and he's just playing the contained game, and he can run away. There's no blink or anything like that. And so now Saladin going to be on the full retreat. That was terrible. So I take back everything I just said. I guess that sentry definitely came in handy, and just like that, Yang going to take a huge advantage of this game.
Wow, that may actually be game right there. Well,
I wouldn't go that far. It's a big loss. It's a huge loss.
Yes, two stalkers like that is a huge loss. Saladin's putting up his robotics facility. We'll see what he can do, because he is certainly going to be on the defensive now. He does have, how many sentries does he have up? 3. Okay, so we'll be able to force field here for a little while, but this could actually present a lot of problems. Now, his robotics facility is going to finish first. He may be able to get that defensive unit out a little bit quicker. It looks like he has enough for an immortal, and no, not going to make the immortal quite yet. Just going to warp in a couple more units.
Well, he's certainly on the back foot right now. We'll have to see how long he can keep up this defensive foothold. One Zealot going in the front. I like the play from Zenex Young. He just wants to test the water at first. That Zealot will probably go down unless Saladin doesn't shoot. Looks like Saladin still has those sentries in the background. He's being very patient. He knows he has to get the force fields perfectly. That ramp is very large and wide, and right now he is buying time for that immortal to come out. And that immortal is absolutely key to Saladin's defense.
Wow, have we actually stabilized and moved into a little bit longer game? Oh, Yang is way supply blocked. He didn't bring up a probe either to put down a forward pylon, so I do think that we have stabilized at least for a little while. Wow, this is actually going to be ridiculous, because I really think that Yang had the opportunity to be aggressive after he had cut off those first few stalkers, but now he is certainly giving his opponent an opportunity, at least, to find his way back into it. But yeah, we do have a couple of differences here. Look at this. Robotics Bay coming up with a Warp Prism for Saladin. This could be the White Rock style Robotics Bay, where it's not Colossi for a while. It's just Warp Prism speed, so he can do some harassment. And we have an expansion coming out of Yang,
So the one map where we thought it was just going to go out to all-out one-base aggression, we actually have stability.
That's almost came to that. It almost came to that.
It was like the Cold War right there, wasn't it? And then they kind of backed off and said, you know what, peace, truce, let's just sit tight, hang around, and then we'll fight later. So that's what we have going on right now. Saladin actually getting a little bit of a tech advantage.
It's a Colossus,
He is going to go for Colossus. Now, he still has the option to actually pick up the Colossus inside of Warp Prism and be harassive. Yep. He probably won't do that. He probably is just going to move in with the Warp Prism and warp in some enemy Zealots inside of the main, and at the same time attack the front door. That's what I imagine him doing.
All right, so one base Colossus for now. I thought he had moved a probe up to the front. It looked like he was going to expand, but decides not to. So it looks like he's just going to produce a couple of Colossi and
that
move
observer
out from there. For Zealot drop.
The two observers in the middle will meet and greet, and the stalkers will say hello. Oh no, that's not an observer. That's a probe.
No, just a tiny little probe there. I don't think there's an observer. No, you're fine. You're fine. You would have thought an observer would have come out, but nothing out of Saladin quite yet.
And there's a Warp Prism, so he is going to do that two-pronged attack I was referring to. Oh, the observer will not see the Colossus. That's going to be a very delayed scout on that Colossus. In the meantime, it looks like the Warp Prism still hasn't moved in, so Saladin taking his sweet time here.
Colossus is moving up. It's right around the middle there. We're tracking the Warp Prism at the same time, but I want to see when Yang actually gets the scout on the Robotics Bay, and it looks like he has it now. Okay, so he has it just this second, but he's got to prepare for this Warp Prism drop at the same time that a bunch of units are moving up right up the front.
And I think he'll be prepared at the front door. He's got plenty of sentries. He's got a lot of forces as well. The Zealots, though, have disrupted mining in the back of the main for some time, and the Colossus has joined the army at the front. So all of a sudden, even though Saladin seems like he has a smaller army and the disadvantage from low ground to high ground, he's got a Colossus here, and that is going to be a big difference factor.
Yeah, it really is. Saladin's actually doing a considerable amount of damage. The Zealots have actually
the Colossus getting really close.
He wanted to break down the force fields, though, and then backs up after that. So it was actually a pretty smart move, but he did get dangerously close to those Immortals.
Yep.
The Immortals are now falling down. Yang doesn't have a lot left. Saladin's actually taking a huge supply lead, and he's continuing to drop with these 4 Zealots.
Yeah, and that Colossus, it's pretty low, I think. No, it couldn't take that much damage at all. So beautiful harass by Saladin. Not only does he strike the front door, and even though he's not going to kill off all the forces, he has disrupted a lot of mining in the back of the mineral fields. Let's just look at the workers' kill tab right now. It is 13 workers killed, and he destroys the entire army at the front door. There's the GG.
Oh, and Saladin goes up 2-0 in this best of 5. Congratulations to Saladin. What a great game played out of him. I really honestly thought that Zenex Young, after trapping those stalkers like that brilliantly, just with that one sentry, was going to pull a critical advantage in that game, be able to push it, He didn't decide to push it, but I thought he was going to be able to move out and take the game after that. But Saladin allowed to sit back and tech the Colossi. Wow. What a great game.
Yeah, man, that was that was really, really interesting. I agree with you, man. I think Zenex Young had a great advantage right there. After trapping those stalkers, he could have pushed in. He could have killed off Saladin or done some serious damage, but he didn't. And we had stability on basically what I call Tal'Darim stress on steroids. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, so there we have it, though. They're going to switch colors on us again. We're going to move to Zakuldas Drift here, and Zakuldas Rift, here in just a second for game number 3. But don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. Don't forget to follow the IPL at Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Justin TV is at IGN Pro League. You can give us a shout-out on Twitter as well. He's at HD StarCraft. I'm at Cat's Pajamas SC2. Gentlemen, we are back for game number 3, this best of 5 between Saladin and Zenex Young. Had this still been a best of 3, Saladin would be $100 richer. And then we're going to see how this pans out.
A bunch of chicken nuggets.
Because if Saladin ends up getting the money from this, we've clearly got to send the money somewhere. So we can find out who we're sending it to and see who that name is, and we can find out his true identity. Because if we have to send this $100 to one Mr. Sean Plott,
I don't think so.
No, I don't know. I'm just trolling him at this
Everybody
point,
always
so.
thinks it's day 9, but no, I don't think so.
No, it's actually probably just a really, really good Grandmaster Protoss player that's not with the team yet. So,
yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is. It could be just a good ladder player.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, we're about to find out if... we're about to find out Saladin's true identity is what we're about to find out.
We're going to see if Saladin can close this out. He's up 2-0 in the set. It is a best of 5. Zenex Young decides to pick Zakuldas Rift next.
Yep.
And I guess we're going to head into that game right now.
All right, let's go ahead and do it, guys. And here we are. We've got Zenex Young as the blue Protoss at the top left-hand corner of Zakuldas Rift. And we down at the bottom right-hand corner, we have got his opponent Saladin, who's currently 2-0 in this series. And if he wins one more, it will close it out, and he will take home that $100 prize.
All right, so here we have it. Zakuldas Rift is an interesting map because you actually have 3 tiers or levels. You have your mainline high ground. You pass to your natural, which is pretty easy to hold on to. It's pretty expandable. Pretty wide right here, but nothing like, Metalopolis or Xel'Naga Caverns or anything like that. Your third, you have a couple of different options. You have the base over on the right-hand side, or if you're down at the bottom on the left-hand side, which is pretty easy to defend, but there are destructible rocks leading up to the path there, which is actually kind of a clever way to go about it. And then you also have the pocket expansion, which I've seen a few players favor, especially Terran players. Pretty easy to defend the choke points there with siege tanks. And then in the middle, you have 2 Xel'Naga towers, but they actually don't watch the attack paths around the gold bases around the outside, so not complete Xel'Naga coverage, but all combat is actually fought on the low ground, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, all combat is fought on the low ground, and I kind of refer to this map as a little bit of having the lords of the feud rising over the peasants below, and essentially you are the general at the top of your base, and you send all your army men to fight in the valley of death below. And it's kind of the way the map works. I mean, basically you expand bottom, down, 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 and then down on the battlefield is where all the blood is spilled.
There was, it reminds me where I grew up, actually. I grew up in a valley, Flatwoods Road. And so both sides of the road went down, and our road was in the middle of the ground. It was all farmland. We were actually like the first people to have less than 200 acres. We had 5, tiny little plot. Well, not tiny, but our little plot, tiny compared to all the farmers that were sitting there. And then at one end of the valley, this house was built a couple years after ours. It was like 3 stories tall, had full glass back. It was like a $500,000, $600,000 house or something like that. Now, to put that in perspective, if you would drop that house into the middle of San Francisco, probably be worth like $10 million. Okay, so this was an enormous house, and it just lorded over all the peasants, us peasants that were sitting in the farmland below. So I understand the feeling.
Well, that's okay, because let me ask you this: are there any minerals or Vespine geysers in the middle of that valley?
Unfortunately, no. So
it's not as
if
cool
if by Vespine gas you mean cow dung, then yes, lots of it.
Yeah, that could be a source of methane's a source of gas.
Yes, it's true.
It's a type of gas.
Look at this! They both have their second gas, and it's their own second gas and not their opponent's.
Wow.
It's not been stolen. And we actually have Saladin going ahead and producing a Stalker right away. The same thing coming up for Yong as well, although his Stalker was just a teensy bit delayed as he did decide to put up his second gateway a little bit quicker.
So obviously a lot of options here for a Protoss player that decides to grab a second gas right away. Immediately what comes to mind is Quick Tech in the Twilight Council. Also Robotics Facility can be played out as well. We may even see a Stargate play that we saw in the other Protoss versus Protoss game. So there's a lot of different things that can happen here with that quick second gas, and I'm excited to see which way these guys go, because obviously they're banking up those gas deposits, and Vespine's very important for your technology.
And looks like the Xel'Naga Tower, there's a little fight for it. Saladin runs away. Probe on probe action. He's just going to wait for his old friend, the Stalker, to catch up. And Yong immediately backs up to his own Stalker.
A probe and a Stalker out of peace in the middle of the field right now, and there's that Valley of Death that I was talking about in the middle where those Xel'Naga towers are, and there is a robotics facility. Stargate coming up from Xenix Yong.
All right, so 4-gate versus 2-gate Stargate. Xenix Yong is going to be way down on units, but we're going to see if he can actually pull this off. If we get a situation similar to game number 1,
but
clever positioning on a Saladin's probe could warp up some units here onto the high ground.
The difference here, I think, is that Saladin is going to have more sentries rather than stalkers because he got that second gas. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me. And because of that, I would imagine that the Phoenixes are maybe going to be a little bit more effective, because then they can just focus down on a couple of stalkers rather than having to deal with a bunch of stalkers on the ground.
Uh-oh, Saladin's got to watch out. Oh, loses a Stalker. Looks like he's more concerned about warping in units at the front. But terrible. Yong actually has the opportunity to run in and do some significant damage. Saladin has nothing left over, but he himself is going to walk in with 4 Stalkers now, and there's not much out. A Chrono Boost is thrown down, but Yong is supply blocked.
Wow, so he's just focusing totally on Stalkers right now. His main has been breached by 4 Stalkers. He will not be able to mine. In fact, he's just mining. He's just warping and everything on the offensive. So we're just going to have a straight-up base race right now between the 2 players.
Oh my god, this game has gotten crazy quick. Here comes Saladin now. Those Zealots are going to perform so well against the probes, and we have a full-on retreat. Everything from Saladin making its way out of there.
I think he's going to use the probes offensively.
And Yong is actually running away with his probes as well. We may actually have a meeting of the probes here in the middle.
The peasants are going to fight in the middle of the Valley of Death.
They just run by each other, and we have a full-on base trade.
Oh, this is awesome. So both players just going to go at it at each other. Probes being used to fight as well. Let's just look at the units tab there. We can get a good gauge as to who's ahead. Oh. And really, it looks like Saladin has a lot more army.
Well, it's 4 Zealots, but he's down by 2 Stalkers. So,
and he's also down by 4 probes.
Theoretically, with perfect control, I think Yong takes this. But oh, this is just insane.
I don't know, man. It's so hard to perfectly control all 3 types of units: probes,
yeah,
Zealots, and Stalkers.
Oh my god. Every one of these games has just been nuts.
It's actually going to come down straight up to a base race, and I don't know if Xenix Yong has a building on the map. Oh, he has a pylon.
Just put one down here.
Okay, so he is hiding a pylon somewhere on the map, and this is it. It's going to be a straight up base race between the 2 players, and they're both locked at 34 supply apiece. So actually, it's pretty even between these 2, and it's really just going to come down to impeccable micro. Whoever has the best micro is going to win this game. And if Saladin wins it, don't forget he will win the series.
And looks like, oh, is Saladin, wait, see,
base is being revealed.
His opponent should be revealed. Yeah, so all he's got to do, oh, but there's an assimilator coming up as well. Saladin should be doing the exact same thing, planting an assimilator
He doesn't have enough minerals to make an assimilator.
Oh, you're right! Oh, they're
But
so
his
high
two buildings,
HP.
but his two buildings are protected in the back. He can actually camp his two buildings for a very long time. So
Yeah.
it's really gonna be a crazy game here. The thing is, Saladin can kind of control the middle of the map. Zenex Yang cannot push out. Yang has to stay on his side of the field, and he cannot push out because his only building is tucked away in the back of his base. Although it looks like he's leaving his probes to defend while he moves out with his main army. This is very interesting decision making from Zenex Yang, and I think this may end up costing him. He's got to be very, very careful. He can actually pick off some key probes right here. That's important.
And he does. Two probes go down, a third almost did. It's down to its last hit. And here we go. Here comes the engagement now. Yang being pushed back at the moment. He's got to bring his probes forward to engage as well.
30 to 34 supply, so Yang taking a couple of pot shots here. Those are absolutely important. Every single unit here is so big. 29 to 34 supply now. And I don't know if Saladin really wants to run up this ramp. I don't know if I agree with this, Cats.
And the Zealots are going to try to do as much as they can, but Yang's just going to sit here and pick off Zealots. That's all he wants to do. He's actually gained a pretty big advantage now. There's a few probes left over and a couple of Zealots.
16
Is
to
this enough?
17 supply. He's got a micro perfectly here. He's down to basically 6 Stalkers versus 4
Oh
Stalkers.
my
But
God!
the Zealot and the probes doing some good damage. He's going to kill off every Stalker, though, and that is huge. This is huge. I think that Zenex Yang is going to win.
Oh my God! These probes are just trying to catch up, and they can't deal enough
10
damage.
to 9 supply. That Stalker is so close to dying.
Oh, and
That Stalker is so close to dying.
this one is as well, but the last
He gets
Zealot
it.
has just gone down, and that's it. Zealot and GG's.
Oh, wow.
And Yang comes back, takes game number 3, sending this to game number 4.
No,
that was insane.
insane.
That was so good.
That was so crazy. That was insane.
Wow, that's actually an incredible way to make sure that this goes on. We're going to head to game number 4 now.
Wow. My mind equals blown. Wow.
That came
was
down
insane.
right to the wire. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Saladin should have run right up that
Yeah, I don't
ramp.
think so.
I think he could have sat at the back and just positioned his probes and gotten ready and forced his opponent to run down for a little while, but...
At the very least, if you're going to be in that situation, fight in the open field,
Yeah.
Eventually, something's got to happen or it's going to be a stalemate. But don't run up the ramp. That's just going to cost you the game. Although, to his credit, he is 2-0, so maybe he could have taken that risk.
I guess it's true, but, when you're that close, I don't know, man. So, okay, guys, well, on that, we're actually going to head to game number 4. Again, this is going to be on Alisar Deluge. We're going to take a quick commercial break, though. While you're away, please do check out store.ign.com for all of your IPL-branded goodies. We do appreciate your support. Love it. Hope you guys are having a great time. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Insane. Hey guys, we're back. Welcome. This is HD, joined alongside by Cat's Pajamas. We're going to go ahead and show you a quick shot at the Mapmaker Tournament information page real quick and just give you guys a brief lowdown. The Mapmaker Tournament is something we're holding here at the IPL, and essentially the goal here is to get the community to send in their user-submitted maps, and we're going to basically run a tournament, which is what we're doing right now. We're in the semifinals between Saladin and Zenex Yang, and the whole goal to this is to get some new maps implemented for IPL 4, and we're picking the 2 best maps out of the 6 maps that were sent in.
Yeah.
5 maps that were sent in. So there you guys can see the map names: Alisar Deluge, Atlanta Spaceship, Darkness Falls, ESV Sanchoran Mists, and Zakuldas Rift. I have a hard time pronouncing that. Sorry, guys.
But
and
yeah, and we actually received, I want to say it was 60 submissions, I believe, 60 maps, and
some good, some bad.
We really
there were some
appreciate,
bad ones.
yeah, but you know what? For the most part, the community was really great. Gave us some wonderful maps to pick from. It was actually extremely difficult when we had to pick our final 5, and we're really letting statistics determine the final couple of maps. But we also have the possibility to maybe throw a special one that's near and dear to our hearts in there as well. So
yeah, that would be pretty cool. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay, well, it is 2-1 in the third place consolation match here of the Mapmaker tournament. $100 on the line for the winner of this best of 5. Saladin took the first 2 games in style, but ZX Young comes back with a ridiculous base trade in game number 3.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and just jump right into number 4. All right, so here at the top left-hand corner of Alisar Deluge, we have Saladin. This 4 games now, and they've switched colors every time. He's our blue Protoss player. His opponent down at the bottom right-hand corner, sporting the red trunks, that is Xenix Young. He is our red Protoss player. So here we have it. Alisar Deluge, and Xenix Young is still on the brink of elimination here.
I'll give you a quick chance to go ahead and describe the map a little bit for those of you guys who may not have been tuned into the Mapmaker tournament.
Okay, so this is Alisar Deluge, and your main to natural is pretty easy to go ahead and take and hold onto. In fact, you have a not too wide of a ramp, something about the size of Shakura's Plateau sitting out there, but the main feature is that you have this little jut of land with bushes. Jut.
I like that.
Yes, jut of land.
Is that even a word?
Bushes. Yeah, of course it is.
Okay.
And
I trust you, man.
Yeah.
I do. I want to call it like a peninsula.
So you have bushes back here that actually protect vision, and you have situations where you can either use this to defend your third, which is protected with destructible rocks, or you can just use it to watch units up at the front. Makes this a lot harder to assault, even given a pretty wide ramp right here. So just one Xel'Naga tower in the middle. That means there's a ton of attack paths that go along the side that just rely on having map control, which is something that we quite like. And that's about it. There you go.
Alternatively, that jut of land can also be used offensively by a very bold player. Granted, it's right in the frontal view of the ramp, but I would imagine some Protoss players may be using that as a blink location. Proxy doesn't really come to mind because it's right there in the front of the ramp and most players would detect it, but I mean, I could see that being used in an offensive manner as well.
Sure. And not too much being shown at the moment. Let's see if these dastardly probes try and steal some gas once again. 2 out of 3 games that's actually happened. Now, the game where it didn't happen, we actually had our most unstable, ridiculous base trade game, so maybe I am hoping a little bit for another game like that, because that was just crazy. And Saladin looks like he's going to steal his opponent's gas. There's the 75, there's the gas steal, and there's the gas steal from Xenix Young.
Same exact dribbling once again from these 2 players, and a little bit of I guess, difference from the previous game, because in the previous game, both players decided to grab a double gas apiece, and that just went all out crazy. So this time, we're reverting back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And I would imagine we're going to have a possible 4-gate from both these players, although Xenix Young really likes to get that Stargate out.
Yeah, he does, but with his gas stolen this time around, it's going to be a lot harder to try and accomplish.
Didn't stop him last time, though.
Saladin stealing his gas again. He's got his little treasure. Xenix Young with his little treasure of gas as well. So both these players have done dastardly, unovercomable damage. No, I'm joking.
I think that the 5 minerals is more damaging than the 4 gas.
It's still fun, though. I always have liked that. It's so cute to me. Because probes, when they run away with their little present, they just look like little cats. Look like little kitty cats. Oh, you can't really see them at the front.
Don't they?
Oh, well. Yeah.
Now it's getting shot at by a big bulldog.
That's true.
Chased away by a dog. Well, it looks like right now Xenix Young is going to go ahead and lose his assimilator because that Zealot is wailing on it. A second gateway being added on by Young as well as he tries to get his gas down. And in the next couple of moments, we're going to find out what kind of builds these 2 players are going to opt for. A third gateway being thrown down by Young. So we're just waiting to see if he goes for the 4-gate as he gets another gas.
With 2 probes. Alright, selected 2 probes and had them both sent over there. Saladin getting up his second gas, only quite a bit later than his opponent, but he too has his second gateway coming up for the moment.
So just one less gateway from Saladin.
Right, so we'll see if he decides to go into robo, or if he's going to be content to sit back on 2 gates or press ahead for a few more.
I'm guessing he's going to go for robo because he would have thrown those gateways down already.
And Young is actually going for a couple of sentries, so he's not going to invest in as much tech quite yet.
Both players looking like they're going to tech up here. I don't think either one's going to go for a 4-gate. And I would imagine both of them are going to go for Robo or Twilight Council, and there is a Robo coming down for Saladin.
For both, actually. Yes. 3-gate Robo for Xenix Young, 2-gate Robo for Saladin. 3-gate Robo for Saladin, just the 3rd gate was avoided.
Every little detail must be scrutinized in Protoss versus Protoss. And there's a Twilight Council coming up.
This is 3-gate Blink Stalker where he's just going to use the robotics facility for an observer.
Or, you know what I've seen a lot of Protoss players do nowadays? Be using the Warp Prism instead of the Observer for spotting.
That's very true, yeah.
Because then you can bring in backup as well.
And there's Twilight Council out of Yong.
Wow, so both going to go for the exact same build order, though, just kind of taking different paths, but arriving at the same conclusion. And we'll have to see, once their 2 paths do cross and meet, who's going to come out ahead.
And there's 4-gate Robo, 4-gate Blink Stalker. Back on Yong's side of things with 3 gates, but of course he's had those 3 gates up a little bit quicker than his opponent, and that's reflected slightly in supply.
He has 4th gate.
Had just a little bit, and there you have it. So 4-gate Robo with Twilight Council for both players. And there's the observers coming up.
Now,
Blink is already on the way for Saladin, and Blink is on the way now for Xenix Young.
Now, I've seen Saladin do this before. He's very, very good at this. And what he did against MVP Tails is he brought the Warp Prism in and shuttled in Immortals and Sentries, and then blinked the Stalkers into the opponent's main. And then what he did, what he did with the Sentries is force field the ramp so that the Protoss forces on the outside could not come in, and he just devastated the inside. He gutted the inside of the enemy Protoss main. And that's what I'm imagining he's going to do in this game as well.
All right, well, we'll see if that is indeed going to be the case. Chrono Boost being expended on Blink at the moment, so both players are pretty close to their Blink research times. And there's the Warp Prism for Saladin. So
he's doing it.
Okay. We're going to see what both these players have to offer now. The observers are making their way to their opponent's bases.
The problem, though, is this build worked out really well when the opponent didn't have Blink.
Young.
And when Xenix Young has Blink, that means that the force fields at the ramp from the inside of the main are not going to be able to keep the forces away, because Young can blink his Stalkers back into the main. So I don't think this strategy is going to work out nearly as well. And what actually happened is an epic base race between Saladin and MVP Tails, so I'm expecting possibly the same exact thing.
Oh, and it looks like Young actually canceled his Warp Prism when he found out about this. Saladin did not cancel his, though, so he's going to make his way out there. But this could be the situation that you were talking about. So Young cancels the Warp Prism, kind of recognizing what was up in the situation that was about to develop.
Yep.
All right.
And the thing here, like I said before, those force fields are not going to keep his Stalkers away from the main, because Xenix Young has Blink. He can blink back and forth. So I don't think Saladin should be investing too many into Sentries here. I think he should just stick it with Stalkers and try to basically bucket into his main and see what he can do.
And just try and warp in some units here and be annoying or something like that. Or flank his forces. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, well, it's going to come down to a big old fight here in just a second. Looks like Young has a slight advantage in terms of supply, but he's back in workers, which means he has an extra Stalker sitting on the field or something like that. Actually,
Immortal comes out.
It's an Immortal, because there are 2 observers that are up for...
Young is looking solid right here.
Oh, no, that's 2 observers that are up for Young. Okay.
I don't think Young can be penetrated right now. I think Saladin doesn't have an opportunity. Really, he went for the Warp Prism, and he didn't make use of it. That was a problem. He just made a Warp Prism, 200 minerals, basically wasted at this point because he hasn't done anything with it yet.
And Saladin decides to expand.
Wow.
Young actually going to do the same thing. I thought Young, because he has the Immortals, may have decided to just go ahead and try and put on some pressure and win the game outright. But it looks like he's going to rely on his macro, opting to throw down that expansion as well.
Wow, both players actually settling down into a macro game once again. Something about these 2 players, I don't know what it is. It's either A or B. It's black and white between these 2 guys. Either it's just straight up all-out base race, or you have a macro situation.
And Saladin, actually, his pro count was kind of clever. He cut himself... Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought he was the one who was exactly at 30. It was actually Young who was at 30 for a good period of time. Of course, max saturation on 1 base. But he'll be able to Maynard over some in a bit. He's the first to go to Robo Bay, though. So he's going to be a little bit quicker on the Colossus front. Nothing of the sort is up for Saladin.
Too.
Ooh, and Saladin's a wee bit supply block. Not that big of a deal because he didn't have the resources to bring in any more units, though.
I think this is a problem, really, for Saladin. The fact that Young's not only already got the initial Immortals out on the field, but he's about to get the most powerful Protoss unit of all, which is the Colossus. And typically, when a Protoss player gets the quick Colossus, usually it's a trade-off. The enemy player will have some other tech advantage, like Immortals or something in the Twilight Council, but that's not the case this time.
I certainly agree with you. Saladin's opportunity is going to come in the backstab that he actually does with the Warp Prism. If he can actually disrupt his opponent's economy for long enough and prevent any sort of re-warp-in, Saladin can just hold back, sacrifice a few probes, and just go ahead and feel secure from there. But as it stands, he's only now drawn even on Immortals, and he's going to be behind that Colossus on top of that.
Yeah.
Now, yes, he does have twice the Stalkers of his opponent, but not that many Zealots, and who knows? The tech advantage has certainly gone to Yang, though.
Yeah, the tech advantage has gone to Yang. The raw brute force of the Stalker advantage has gone to Saladin. But, you know, in Protoss versus Protoss, having a bunch of Stalkers isn't really that nice.
When you
having that Colossus is so much better.
When you have Immortals and Colossi on the field, that Stalker number really, really goes down.
And he's pushing out right now.
Yes, he is.
Now, the thing here is, don't forget Saladin has a Warp Prism in the background, so he could certainly bring that in for reinforcements or bring it in to harass. We'll have to see. We'll keep our eyes on it on the minimap. But it looks like Saladin is gearing up for what seems to be an Omega push here. And is Yang prepared for this? He has one Colossus, a second Colossus about to join out with his army. I think Yang should be okay. It's going to be pretty clutch. But the longer that Saladin waits, the second Colossi will join.
And Saladin has to use his blink purely for micro and getting
There's a Warp Prism
out of there. So the Warp Prism is at the back, dropping in a few Zealots. The Zealots are pushed back for now.
Oh,
but
he's trapped on both sides.
Force fields. Yeah. And the Zealots are actually going to fall down pretty quickly. He makes his way up now, though, and it looks like Saladin's going to commit.
Oh, this is a big battle right here. Those three Immortals are up in the fray. The two Colossus also doing some damage. But the thing is, Yang is being attacked from two different fronts, and he's getting surrounded. I think that Yang could be in some serious trouble, but no, he has enough forces to hold it off, and he's going to destroy the front force and take care of the back. But the thing is, how many probes did he lose?
He lost only 9 workers, and that's
enough.
not unovercomable. No, Saladin's in a fine spot. He's got thermal... Yang's in a fine spot. He's got thermal lance. His blink is killing multiple Stalkers. He's killed the forward pylon. He's up by 22 supply. And I don't know if Saladin can even just hold back this force that's advancing across the map at him.
And actually now he's going to go for a Desperation Dark Templar play. I don't think he's going to be able to get it out in time. This could be game right here. Unbelievably, Yang might take this to the distance, and we may have a rubber match, game 5 between the two players, although the Warp Prism warping in units once again in the back of the mineral field. But it was canceled by Stalkers that destroyed the Warp Prism, and that should be all she wrote.
Yeah, I think so as well. This Immortal hasn't done any damage, immediately goes down. These probes are just lining up for the Colossus to just obliterate them. And that Colossus 8 kills, 9 kills, and going up. Just a few units left on the field for Saladin. Under 20 supply. And there's the G.
Wow.
And he leaves the game.
Well, that, once again, a stable matchup in Protoss versus Protoss, kind of evolving into 2-base versus 2-base. But Saladin, despite his best efforts, was unable to break the Protoss at the front. And that just shows the power of the Colossus. Such a good unit to have in all situations.
And they are, again, going to switch colors on us, these BM. Anyway, so we're going to head to game number 5 here in just a second. Saladin, after taking the first 2 games, Zenix Yang comes back. Very solid play in the third game and the fourth game, although the third game was just nuts. But we're going to head to that 5th game here in just a second. Don't go anywhere, guys. Don't forget to follow the IGN Pro League at Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. It's at IGN Pro League. You can check us out on Twitter as well. He's at HD StarCraft. I'm at Cat's Pajamas SC2. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. back live, ladies and gentlemen, for IPL TV, the final game of the consolation match here at the Mapmaker Tournament. $100 on the line for third place. And Saladin jumped up to a 2-game lead. Zenex Young won that